So why did I leave Islam? What prompted me to actually leave this religion of peace? Well, you know what? Let's just get into it. Just to give y'all a little bit of reference, I was actually born into Islam. My family is Egyptian, but I left Islam in my 20s. I am now 41 for reference, and I am now in the way. See, I'm even wearing a shirt with our father's name and his son's name. Hallelujah. So one of the reasons why I left Islam was the unfair treatment of men versus women. Islam is a religion, I always say it's made by men for men, and it benefits men. I will never personally understand a woman who converts to Islam because she loses a lot of her rights in that system, because the way the Quran and just the culture in general in that culture is structured is it's for men. It is not for the woman at all. So for example, men can be polygamous and have up to 4 wives. And men can actually marry what's called people of the book. So people of the book are considered Christians and considered Jewish people. But that's the men. But the women do not have those same rights. The woman cannot be polygamous, and the woman cannot marry the Christian and a Jewish woman. So she's only subjected to Muslim men. And then a lot of the times these Muslim men are looking to marry outside. But if they're looking to marry outside and the woman cannot marry outside, like, she's very limited in her options for mates. So that was something that I remember bringing up. That was something I remember arguing about a lot when I was Muslim, because I did not think it was fair at all or it was right at all. If these guys can do whatever they want to do and the women are subjected to, are very limited to what they can do. And not only that, just like the Muslim family in general, men also have a lot more rights and a lot more freedom in the family in general. So they can, go out late, they can normally go to school, they can work, they can do all this stuff. They can have girlfriends, they can date, they can do all that. But the Muslim woman cannot do that because according to, Muslims and, Middle Easterns and people who are in this system, the honor is in the woman. So the woman has a lot of pressure to be good, to, stay a virgin until marriage. And I'm not saying to sleep around, but it's a lot of pressure on her to act a certain way for the family. But the men are not subjected to that same treatment. They can do whatever that they want to do, and their excuse is, well, they're men and men do what they want to do, and if they sleep around, it's okay. But for the woman, the woman will get severely punished. Sometimes she even gets unalived, or she'll be sent back to her country and get arranged marriage by a cousin, because that's what happened to me twice. And I want to say that I praise the Father that even though I was shipped back to Egypt 2 times for different reasons, I was never married to a cousin or anything like that. So I praise him for that. But it's really terrible how it is. It's a system of control. And the men benefit in this system while the women just lose in this system. So another reason why I left Islam was the whole modesty thing. I definitely 100% believe in modesty for both men and women. I definitely believe in self-control for both men and women. But the way the woman is subjected in Islam is she has to wear the hijab. So she has to be completely covered, wrist covered, feet covered, everything covered. And sometimes, depending on which branch of Islam you grew up in, I know it's kind of confusing. I grew up a Sunni Muslim. So Sunnis are the majority of the Muslim population. And Sunnis believe in the Prophet Muhammad being the last prophet. Whereas there's these other denominations of Islam believing in different prophets or different belief systems. And I'm not about to get into that in this video because there's 78 of them from what I remember. So I grew up a Sunni Muslim, so the burqa was not a requirement where it covers the face. But I know in other forms of Islam, there's Salafi, there's Wahhabi, I think that's mostly Saudi Arabia. They do the whole burqa. So I didn't think it was fair the way the woman had to be completely covered like that. Whereas the men can, again, do what they want to do. They can go to the beach and they can be shirtless and wear shorts. And you see these women just completely covered. And I'm just like, where's the fairness and the equality in that? And don't you think that as women, Women get tempted too. I'm sorry. Like, women do get tempted. I'm not going to lie and say it's only men. Men, y'all need to watch yourselves too and be careful with the way y'all are dressing. Because some of y'all know what y'all are doing when y'all are getting dressed. I'm just going to be completely honest with y'all. It goes both ways. Both parties need to be modest and both parties also need to have some control and watch their eye gate. Another reason why I left is fear. So the way Islam is it's a religion based on fear. And they will scare you into staying into this system because if people leave the system, then that challenges the system. So I remember when I was younger, like one of the verses of the Quran was Jannah, heaven being under the feet of the mother. So like it didn't matter how your mother treated you, like you needed to please her in order to have paradise. Another thing that was used was like the description of hellfire in Islam is actually very, very scary. I remember being terrified of like how they described hell in Islam. So they described them as these big, huge, like black angels that were like feet, like many, many feet long and super strong. And, you know, it was just like sometimes you'd be in the complete heat. Other times you'd be in the complete, like, cold. It was very scary the way the hellfire, Jahannam, was described in Islam. It was just a very scary thing. And they would use that a lot to make people stay in Islam. And it was really scary. So fear is something that does make people stay. And there are times when, especially for the female, if she wants to leave Islam, her life can literally be on the line. And I mean, I did take a risk when I left. I'll be honest. I took a risk, but at that point, I did not care. Because at that point, I already felt like trash anyway. And I was like, I really didn't care what happened to me. And, praise y'all that, they didn't do anything, even though they wanted to. They definitely wanted to, but they didn't. So praise y'all. And here I am, having a platform and I can now speak out about my experiences in Islam. So there we go. Another thing about Islam is, so Muslims are required to pray 5 times a day. And it's great. Prayer is awesome. Like I pray to the Father actually more than once a day. There's times where I pray to him multiple times a day because he's just so amazing and I need him. But the way Islam is structured is like you have to say certain things in these prayers. You cannot just pray from the heart. It's like a mechanical prayer where you do this, you say the Fatiha, which is like the opening of the Quran. You have to read the opening, which I don't even remember what the heck that meant. I'll put the translation up there for y'all. You keep going, and then you read a surah from the Quran. And so I remember I memorized at the time like 4 or 5 different surahs. Like I really didn't care about memorizing the Quran. I just would memorize the shortest ones. I'd pray and I just like keep it moving. But the prayer is never from your heart. The prayer was you had to memorize these Quranic verses. You had to pray a certain way. I always wanted to pray from the heart. Like I just wanted to sit down and be able to talk to God, to talk to Elohim. And we could not do that. I mean, the way it was is, you had to do it, memorize Quran verses, do that 5 times a day and keep it moving. And I felt nothing when I prayed. And I'm pretty sure most Muslims, when they pray, they feel nothing. They just do it just because they are conditioned to do it. And then another thing is I had a lot of health issues since childhood, and I've been looking for ways to heal. And the Quran doesn't really give you much hope of healing. I mean, it will tell you about black seed, which black seed is really good. It will tell you about honey. Honey is really good. It tells you about another thing called hijama. Hijama is like cupping, but like you poke holes in the area, then blood comes out, and I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird to me. I remember when I was Muslim, at one point I was looking for somebody to do that because I really wanted to heal and I could not find anybody to do that. I praise Yah for that. Because I know in the Bible, the blood is very, 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 it's sanctified in the Bible. So, I mean, I just knew, even when I was Muslim, like there was really not much hope of me healing. And even when I did try the black seed and the honey, I remember at one point I tried Zamzam water. Zamzam water is holy water. So Catholics have holy water. Muslims have something similar called Zamzam water. And you get that normally from Saudi Arabia. or they get the Zamzam water shipped from Saudi Arabia. And if you go to like a Muslim store or Middle Eastern store, you can find Zamzam water. And I remember I would buy Zamzam water and I would drink it because I wanted to heal so badly, y'all. But you know what that did? That's a form of idolatry. Yes, Muslims, that's idolatry right there, because you're not putting your hope in the Most High. You're putting your hope in this water to heal you. And even I question Zamzam water now, if that's actually authentic water. Like, I don't think it is, but that's another story for another day. So, yeah, I mean, there was no hope for healing for me when I was Muslim. And even when I did try those healing modalities, I did not get better at all. So that's that. Another reason why, and this is probably going to make a lot of people mad, but I'm just going to be honest with y'all, is the Muslim community is really judgmental. Of course, I was someone who never fit in. I mean, I got the name Aliyah, so, I got the name, but that's about it. I did not fit in at all. And with their judgments and stuff, I never understood it. And it's just like so fake and it's so superficial and it's so artificial. And they judge you based on your looks. They judge you based on your profession. They judge you based on like your degree. They judge you based on your money, your husband, your kids, everything. And I don't like that. There was a lot of things to judge me on because, I, according to him, didn't have the look. I didn't have the husband. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. I didn't have a lot of things in the that Muslims consider status. Because that's what they do. They consider your career status, your job status, your money status, your kid status, your husband status, all this stuff status. And as someone who really didn't have any of that, imagine, it just brought my value down when I was in those communities. So, and I just got to the point, I'll be honest, towards the end, that I just did not care. I did not care. Another thing I want to talk about, this just came to my head, was my Hajj experience. So, Muslims are required to perform Hajj, which is pilgrimage, once in their lifetime. It's in Saudi Arabia, and it's the Kaaba, it's the black stone, and anyways, there's a whole ritual behind that. It's a pagan thing, and I can get into that another day. But I actually performed Hajj. I went to Saudi Arabia with my dad when I was in my early 20s, and I performed the Hajj. And there was certain rituals that we had to do while performing the Hajj. We had to go around the black stone 7 times. What else did we have? There was a lot of things that we had to do. I remember at one point we had to throw stones at a wall because Muslims believed that was shaitan, that was Hasatan, Satan. So throwing the stones at the wall, which is, now that I think about it, it's really stupid. There was a point where we had to go to Arafat, and we had to camp the way the prophets camped in the desert for a couple of days. That was really miserable. There was certain things we had to do. We went to another city called Medina in Saudi Arabia. So most of the stuff that I described is in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, the black stone and all of this. Then we went to Medina in Saudi Arabia. And Medina, I have to admit, is a nice city. I'll be honest, I actually really enjoyed that city a lot. I would not go again though. Heck no. But I did enjoy it. And the Prophet Muhammad, their prophet, his grave is over there. So, a lot of people, of course, idolatry. I'm telling you, idolatry. They would go to the grave and they would kiss the grave. And, I think his companion, a companion is kind of like an apostle, I guess, like Abu Bakr. I think his grave was there too. I'm telling y'all, the idolatry and the paganism that took place, now that I look back on it, it's crazy. So I remember I went there and I saw the casket of him and I think his companion, Abu Bakr. And I remember we prayed in the big mosque that I guess they built. And the mosque actually looks really nice. I have to give them that. The mosque looks really nice. But again, paganism and idolatry. The Hajj was over and then thankfully we went back home. But the way the Hajj is for the men, they have to wear a white garment and they have to shave their head. And for the women, we have to wear full hijab, full hijab. So Saudi Arabia was not a good place. Even though I was fully in hijab, I was wearing a very baggy dress. It's called an abaya. I was still harassed even with my dad over there. It was really, really scary. And I would not want to go out alone when I was over there. And my Hajj experience was trash. I'll be completely honest with y'all. I can make another video if y'all are interested in that. I'm trying to remember it little by little because Islam traumatized me so much that I forgot so many things. But like I said, if y'all are interested in a video on my Hajj experience, I do not have pictures, unfortunately. Just let me know, and like I said, I'll pray to the Father to see if I can remember, because I'm remembering things little by little, but I don't remember everything, unfortunately. Islam is based on doing good deeds. So the way like Christianity and, Nazarene, followers of the way, is positioned, yes, we gotta do good deeds, we gotta follow the Torah, but we also have grace in our Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach, or Jesus Christ. Well, Muslims don't have that. Muslims don't believe in a Messiah. And Muslims don't believe that, our Father, Yahuwah, has a son. And so Muslims are subjected to doing deeds, good deeds. And the problem with that is, how do you know if you're doing more good than if you're doing bad? Because there's times where I'll be honest, I'm sinning and I don't even realize that I'm sinning. And I'm just really grateful that I have that grace and I can come to the Father and ask for forgiveness in the name of his son. But Islam doesn't have that. Islam does not have that. You have to do good deeds. But it's like, okay, I mean, doing good deeds is great. We should all do better. But how do you know if you're on the right path? How do you know if you have more good deeds than bad deeds? You don't know. And so there's a fear element to that, because it's unknown until you die and it's the day of judgment. And in the day of judgment, you realize you were in falsehood the entire time, which is really scary. But that's how Islam is. So you don't know. You don't know where you stand. Islam, as I mentioned, is a very controlling religion. And a lot of people stay in Islam out of fear, I believe, because there was a picture that I saw one time of people praying in the masjid, in the mosque. And I remember the picture said, if I can find it, I'll post it. But like 1 out of every 4 are secretly not Muslim. So 1 out of every 4 people secretly are not Muslim. And there's a lot of people who leave Islam, but they have to keep it like undercover. So they have to pretend they're Muslim, but they're really not Muslim. And my heart goes out to people like that, because I can imagine how hard that is. That must be really, really hard, because I remember I kind of went through a period like that for a little bit in my early 20s where I was questioning it and I left, but then I didn't really tell anybody that I left until later on. So I can imagine how hard that is, and my heart goes out to anybody who is in that position. So I remember when I was a Muslim, like, I never had peace at all. I never felt peace. I never felt content. I always felt very scared. I always felt very controlled. I always felt very angry. And that's why you see a lot of these Muslims walking around kind of angry. I mean, do you blame them for how controlling their religion is and how hard it is to follow? Oh my goodness. Like, I have a lot more compassion when I see Muslims, because it's not an easy religion at all to follow. It's a very difficult religion. And so I just had no hope when I was Muslim. And I was depressed being a Muslim. I was extremely depressed, extremely controlled. I was also raised by narcissistic Muslims. But I remember just being in this religion, being in this family system, just getting sicker and sicker and sicker, and losing my soul little by little by little. And I'll be honest, I mean, it was hard to leave Islam. It was very scary. But I'm really glad that I did leave, because if I did not leave, I would not be where I am today. But I mean, it was a journey. It was hard. It was not easy at all. I lost a lot leaving Islam, but it was worth it, and I would do it again. And finally, why else did I leave Islam? Well, again, this video could be hours and hours long, but I'm going to end with this. The last reason why I left Islam is my marriage situation right now. So I am technically legally married to like a Muslim guy that I have been trying to divorce for a very, very long time. And the law makes it very difficult for me to get divorced, because I got married in a Muslim country back in 2017. And I've been, trying to beg and bribe him to like divorce me. And the man refuses to divorce me just for control. I mean, that's how it is. Muslims, they love control. And the way the laws work in most of these Muslim countries, if you do get married, is the law is for the man. I'm telling you. Islam is a religion made by men for the men. Under the Islamic doctrine, I'm actually qualified to get a divorce. I am. I have all the qualifications to get a divorce as a woman. But they make it very difficult as a woman to get divorced. And that frustrates me, because at this point, I'm being held hostage in a situation that I don't want to be in. Like, I don't talk to my ex. I haven't seen him in years. I'm sure he's remarried, which, whatever, I don't care at this point. But see, Islam gives him that right to do that, whereas with me, it doesn't matter. And, That's something that I am praying to the Father about to get out of this situation. And I wanted to also say this. How do people treat me when I tell people I'm not Muslim? Because I do have a Muslim name, and, I guess from the outside I look Muslim or whatever. And a lot of times it depends. So if it's another Muslim, they avoid me like the plague, which is absolutely fine. I really don't care. Like when you hear that I'm ex-Muslim, they don't even want to talk to me. They don't want to associate with me, and they tend to stay away from me. That's been like that for many, many years, so I'm kind of used to it at this point. But from other religious systems, they're curious. They tend to be very curious as to why I left Islam and, want to ask me questions. So it's actually very interesting that, the behavior of the Muslims versus the, behavior of other belief systems. Systems where sometimes maybe they don't know much about Islam, so they don't question it, which curiosity really is such an amazing thing to have that I feel like as a society, so many people have lost. But yeah, I mean, curiosity is a good thing. So anyways, that's it, y'all. Those are the reasons why I left Islam. And I hope that this video was educational, and I hope that it helps y'all. And I'm hoping it does reach some Muslims, who are questioning leaving Islam, or, they're not sure, because y'all can talk to me. I completely get it, man. There's a lot of barriers to leaving. It's scary to leave. And there's a lot that you have to think about. It's not like Christianity. If someone leaves Christianity, most of the time their lives are not in danger. But in Islam, it's the exact opposite. A lot of times your life is in danger when you leave. So if that's something y'all are going through, or even if it's not Islam and you're in another religion, feel free to reach out to me and I can help y'all with that. And if my channel and content has been a blessing to you, I did create a Buy Me a Coffee. So I'll put the QR code up here, and I'll put the link to my Buy Me a Coffee down there. Absolutely no pressure at all, y'all. Just you being here and viewing my channel and supporting me means the world to me. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Shalom.